Hi, I'm Liz Curfey, and here is another quick 5 minutes busting some more dementia myths. So, dementia only affects the brain. So, although we think of dementia and Alzheimer's disease as a disease that affects the brain, it has physical and emotional elements and limitations linked to it as well. So, we see in people who develop dementia, often they struggle with day-to-day activities. It might be that their sleep is affected. It might be that their ability to do things, to move, to open jars, to open doors, to do physical activity. We might see that that is reduced when they develop dementia. And that certainly is the case. So it's not just the brain that gets affected. We don't quite understand the links at the moment, but there is often quite an emotional and sort of personality changes that happen as well when somebody develops dementia. You might find that they become more angry, or that they become very easily upset. Those are other things that can happen. But again, as I keep saying in all of my videos, there is so much that you can do to avoid this happening. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about that at the end. So dementia doesn't just affect the brain. Dementia affects other aspects of life as well for people. Another myth is that mental decline is irreversible. Well, I think it's fair to say the jury is kind of out on that one at the moment, but I think the jury's out because there's not quite enough evidence to say that it can be reversed. There is certainly evidence to say that it can be prevented. At the moment, it's not possible, from my understanding of the research, that we can say it's reversible. So what I always say is, what can we do to stop ourselves developing dementia and Alzheimer's disease in the first place? And if you've watched any of my other videos, you'll know there is lots that we can do. So mental decline and cognitive decline is not inevitable as we get older. So that's another myth that's busted for you. And I think this is a really important one, that there's no link between heart disease and dementia. That's another myth. You think you either have dementia or you have heart disease. Well, actually, cardiovascular health, heart health is very closely linked to brain health. So conditions like high blood pressure can have a really significant impact on brain health. So people often say to me, well, how is high blood pressure linked to heart health? So your blood pressure, the way that we measure blood pressure is how hard your heart has to pump the blood around your body. So I think people don't always understand that when we talk about high blood pressure, we're talking about actually what's the pressure in the heart that it needs to get to in order to push blood around your body. And the higher the blood pressure, the more likely you are to have damage to the tiny little arteries at the very ends of the arteries. If you think about the word pressure, and if I was to say to you a pressure hose or a pressure cooker, we think about pressure as something that has quite a lot of force behind it. If you were pressure washing your driveway, you'd have quite a lot of force, wouldn't you, going through the hose to get rid of all the green stuff that's on your decking or on your stone flags. So pressure, you need quite a lot of pressure in order to get your blood to pump around your body. However, if it's too high, not only does the heart become damaged because it has to work extra hard, that enlarges, which is dangerous because it's bigger but doesn't work as well. And as I say, it damages the very end part of your arteries. And there are particular parts in the brain that are very susceptible to damage. And unfortunately, those parts are the parts of the brain where short-term memory is stored. So that's why it's really important to keep your blood pressure under control. And what's a good way of doing that? Lifestyle choices, what you're eating, how you're eating, when you're eating, what's your exercise like, what kind of strength training are you doing, what's your diabetes risk? All these things are things that we can do to reduce our risk of developing dementia. So another 3 myths busted.